Jake, let's talk really quickly about a couple of other issues that obviously are interesting a lot of people on the Hill. First of all, the massive infrastructure bill. Republicans moved 500. You add the 325 or so that's based. They're at about 800 billion. Biden's at 1.7 billion. Is there a possibility that ends up around 1.2, 1.3 billion?
Yes and no. I guess I'll put it that way. I'm becoming very skeptical based on my reporting that a bipartisan infrastructure deal is going to happen. I just think, like, if you strip away all of that, Joe, and you talk about the pay-fors, how they're going to pay for this legislation, Democrats say they will never do these user fees. Republicans say they will never do the tax increases that Joe Biden wants. So I just don't see how you bridge that gap. So I do think that at the end of the day, there will be something done on infrastructure. I think it'll be majorly pared back, to be honest with you. And I just think that Democrats at this point would be better served focusing on what Joe Manchin wants and less on what Shelley Moore Capito wants. Not because Shelley Moore Capito is a bad person. I just think that's strategically at this point, they are more likely to get a bill with Democrats than they are with Republicans.
Right, and also the January 6th Commission, Joe Manchin has made it clear that he wants to work with Republicans. He's also made it very clear to Republican leaders that you can screw around on infrastructure, you can do what you want on other things, but you better not politicize the 1-6 Commission. Like, he's sort of drawn a line in the sand with Mitch McConnell and Republican leaders. I'm wondering whether they're going to stand in the way, whether they're going to help him get 10 Republicans, or whether this is going to end ugly. Because at some point, at least I get the sense that Manchin's giving the Republicans all the rope he feels they need, all the slack they need to get things done. But, man, if they stonewall him on everything, he's going to say, I tried. And we got to pass some legislation with the Democrats.
I think that Republicans are going to stonewall the January 6th Commission, to be honest with you, Joe. I think you're going to see them this week dig in even harder against it. And the interesting thing is, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, to her credit on this issue, was being very, very, very flexible, more flexible possibly than I've ever seen her in the decade or more I've been covering her. She basically said, whatever the Republicans want, I'll give them. Besides, I'm not making this an investigation into BLM and all of these other ancillary issues. She said, she's already come their way on everything. And here's the reality, Joe. This is a short-sighted move by Republicans because we're not going to get out of this Congress without an investigation into January 6th. So either it's this commission where Republicans have a huge amount of say over subpoenas, over everything, or it's in Democratic committees, which, yes, is partisan, but they are going to be able to issue subpoenas on everything, everyone, without any Republican input. So I just don't get strategically why they would take themselves out of the game when they could get 99.9% of what they want.